Glory Roar 2 is, simply put, amazing. The first installment was a pretty decent game. The sequel amped everything to double. The violence, the moves, the music, the graphics, and even added story mode surprisingly enough. Developed by Raizing and published by Sony and Hudson Soft, it was released on January 28, 1999, with its only competitor being Soul Calibur months away, and Super Smash Bros. The same week but for a different console altogether. Thanks to a relaxed fighting game schedule and the previous small cult following of the first installment, the sales of Glory Roar 2 were absolutely fantastic, to this day being the best-selling entry of the entire series. What made Glory Roar 2 such a hit? Was it Jenny and her charm? Was it the weird, quirky ad? Or could it have been the furries? I'm sure all of the above help. However, time always tells. It will either promote or expose a game. Most become dated and cumbersome to play, while others stay fresh and fun even through years of being released. Glory Roar 2 is the latter. They refined the game, improved almost every aspect, and made something that I and many others consider special. The first of those additions is the Beast Drive, a special move so powerful that would make many toddlers quit in anger after the big boss cheesed them. This mechanic is what made the second game stand out from the first installment. What made it unique, full of flavor, is the pineapple to the pizza, the mayo to the salad, is that suck to the burg. The Beast Drive allows a really good player to dominate the match. On the other hand, it allows a terrible player to feel like they're good. That's me. With it, you transform a simple fighting game into a mind game. Do I save it? Do I use it? Or do I try to link it in a combo and whip it like always? The reason for all these questions raise from the conditions of such move. As you can expect, it is not free. First, you need to be in beast mode. Secondly, after you use it, you become human again. And if you don't understand those implications, please imagine what would happen if a little innocent human girl, if she were to fight a 6 feet 4 inches tall, 240-pound raging lion. Exactly. So, being in beast form is very important in this game. Each Beast Drive is different. Some are grab attacks, others are punches, kicks, anything really. What they all have in common is how cool they are. Another addition is the introduction of story mode. In it, we have an explanation for why everything is happening, or at least that's what they tried. In reality, sometimes it provides a very well-deserved reason for the fights, while in many others it's like, I don't like your face, you gon' get it. At the end of the day, an attempt was made and is there. It doesn't really take away from the game, and it does add a little bit. This mode, however, has one glaring issue, a massive oversight if you will, the lack of music during it. As you read in silence the Japanese machine translated dialogue, the only thing you can focus is on. You have also the ability to cancel certain heavy moves and go back to a neutral stance. This gives you the possibility to change your combos for the amazement of you and, well, just you. Meanwhile, for the computer is a weapon for mass destruction and is made specifically for the big boss to bait your every move. The sidestep mechanic makes a triumphant return, and by triumphant I mean it's as bad if not worse than before. This very dangerous move consists of you going forward while pretending to block. The result can be sidestepping and getting the advantage, and you now have the back of your opponent facing you, or what will happen to most of us, you will get chained into combo hell, losing the match immediately. Additionally, some mechanics were lightly touched up. Now, there are more ways to block: a light baby mode, where like before you can drop the controller and block soft attacks, or the heavy block, which works blocking most all attacks at the expense of a slower recovery, as long as you're blocking in the right direction, of course. The Beast transformation also got a facelift, making it now much more sense. You can now chain human attacks into beast attacks, having a seamless transformation, keeping it one, if not the most important mechanic and the sole reason for Glory Roar to exist. Additionally, many of the beast transformation mechanics got slightly updated. First, you don't lose as much beast gauge from hits and it takes longer to fill the bar. Second, your health recovery is much faster than the first game. The beast transformation is still the MVP of the game, and honestly, it's impossible to imagine Bloody Roar 2 without it. It'd be more like Bruce Whimper.
I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment, and I don't expect to be forgiven.
Now, to what got removed. Please, a moment of silence for the rave system. It got removed far too soon from us. Okay, enough. Bloody Roar 2 follows the events of the first installment. 5 years later, the destruction of the Thailand Corporation, a group known as the Zoanthrope Liberation Front, or CLF for short, is established. If you're a little bit lost, don't worry, I got you. I made a Bloody Roar 1 video that explained pretty much everything, link in the description. On the surface, they strive to liberate and empower zoanthropes that were being persecuted. In reality, they sought to create an army of half-human beasts to take control of the world. Their means were not too distinct from Thailand's: kidnapping, brainwashing, and manipulation. Their means are attacks on the public, making the CLF a terrorist group. Like Thailand, the CLF is linked in one way or another to all the characters. Oh, and speaking of characters, we have a returning cast consisting of Yugo, the self-described wolf persona, adopted a little brother named Kenji, who later gets kidnapped and brainwashed to become Bakuryu, the ninja master. Yugo's mission is to find and retrieve his little brother from the claws of the CLF. Yugo's fighting style is boxing, with a light sprinkle of kicks. His combos got better and more relentless. If both of you are spamming the punch button, I'm sorry to tell you, against Yugo, you're gonna lose. Alice the half-bunny, half-nurse receives such a downgrade from previous game, from independent, strong anime girl to I must chase Yugo cause he's cute. Her story starts with her reason to exist, to protect and care for the sick, and ends on going on a date with Yugo. Oh man, she keeps her focus on kicks, mobility, reach, and counterattacks. Her beast drive reveals something to all of us. If that nurse job fails, she could be a soccer player. Long the Tiger, who due to the regrets of his past, chose to live a life of solitude in the mountains to atone for his sins. He was later contacted and dragged to the CLF conflict with a plea of a sweet, innocent girl containing a sinister clue. Someone who looks just like him is the boss of a terrorist organization. Long plays the same as the previous game, and that's a good thing. He was good before and is even better now. His identity as a combo master is empowered and boosted, making him a real threat whenever he's in beast form. New to the fighting roster but coming back from the previous game, Uriko, after learning that she can no longer transform into a chimera, looks for Long and begs him to take her as a disciple. Unfortunately, learning to fight became a necessity after her mother, Mitsuko, got kidnapped by the CLF. She learns Long's fighting style and accepts her new form as a cat. She plays quicker but softer than Long. She has amazing reach and her combo system varies from her stand and finishing move. Overall, she's very fun to play and her flurry of attacks make it really difficult to block everything. Unlike Uriko, he was in the previous game, but in a different form. Kenji, also known as Bakuryu, is back, with all the good and surgically removing all the bad from before. Young, cool looking, with a compelling story, he is back to rip and tear his enemies. Brainwashed by the CLF, his story is one of self-reflection and acceptance. He is equally as ruthless as before. Tricky to get and even trickier to avoid, he has the abilities of a ninja with the power of a roided animal. He will blink, dash, and rapidly move through the stage. The new and improved Greg, Stan the Insect, was first a world-renowned scientist that worked with Thailand. After finding out about the secret laboratory of a mad scientist who conducted experiments on people, he reports it to Thailand, and as you would expect, snitches get stitches, transforming him into the first human zoanthrope that has no real human form. His body, unstable to the point of decomposing, he has to live off human blood to fight his condition. If you played the previous installment, you would notice that he has a lot of grab attacks from Greg. Stun, however, is competent, and his grappling fighting style in the hands of an experienced player can invite some serious damage. Now, by this point, you'll be wondering, who exactly is doing all these kidnappings and experiments? Well, none other than Buzusima, the freak. Chameleon, yeah. That's what I meant to say. His doings are almost as frightening as his facial expressions. His story revolves around beating people and explaining why he would like to experiment on them. I don't know, in many instances he feels like a comedic relief character, but at the same time, with all the implication of his doings, it's hard to find it funny. He's a real pain to play against, as his moves don't really have any visual cohesion. You might think he's done with his combo, nope, he was saving a hit. He can also go invisible, unlike his shadow. Overall, a pretty difficult character to master that will reward any player that likes feints and the art of distraction. Another character looking for the CLF is Shina the Leopard, hands down the waifu of the game and the best girl overall, fight me. She finds out that the one behind the CLF could be her father, so she sets off to find out if that's actually true, not without first smashing the faces of every other character in the game for no good reason, but to engage in very common animalistic behavior that all the characters seems to have. She hits hard and her moves resemble a bit of a certain French boomer. Her fighting style resembles kickboxing, a devastating combination of punches and kicks. All you can do is block and pray. What she doesn't know is that all that information was planted by a world-renowned spy, Jenny the Bat. Working closely with Gado, she plays the role of support, aligning every character's ambition towards getting rid of the CLF. One thing bigger than her personality is her resolve to see the world change to something better. Her story is one of the better ones and overall pretty enjoyable. Her fighting style is somewhat strange but revolves almost entirely around kicks that look like stabs. She has a pretty sadistic personality, and if you're a keen observer, you will notice she has recycled moves from Fox. Her age is unknown, but it's known that she's been alive for a while now, living off blood to kid her youth. Her beast mode might be a bat, but she's a cougar.
I'm simply here to apologize.
The man of the hour, the big boss, is Gado the Lion, a self-made Sigma male. His mission? To bring a pacific end to all the fighting between humans and zoanthropes. The means? His fist. Gado ties all the ends and at the same time unties them all. He goes to everybody and beats the out of them. He is a much heavier version of Shina. With each hit you get a free mini heart attack. As a kid, I developed PTSD from whenever I would hear the... It would set up every emergency alarm in my body. Believe me, you don't want to get caught slacking with this dude. Only one character left and he's a clone, quite literally. Shen Long the Tiger. Clone after long, he is the leader of the CLF, or so he thinks. Every memory he has was implanted by Buzusima, making his life a practical joke. He later is confronted by Long, giving an end to both his physical and mental conflicts. Shen Long can be a clone character, and while he plays alike, he's totally different at the same time. He punishes to the point of being unfair, and every time you see him in survival mode, you know that could be the run killer. Unlocking him can be both an easy feat and an impossible one at the same time. If you play in baby mode, congrats, you probably got him. If you play in normal difficulty, it could be weeks before you get to see his face in arcade mode. And even if you get it, it doesn't mean you'll get him, because at the end, we know he's getting you. So, talking about game modes, we have arcade, which is, as you expect, is a round after round of enemies until you reach Gado, who is the final boss, or he would if not for Shen Long, whom you can fight only if you didn't have a continue throughout the playthrough. Once you beat it, you will unlock a new costume for that character by pressing start on the character selection screen. Survival mode is almost an endless fighting mode with increasingly difficult enemies. What makes this mode unique is that it's a one-round match and your leftover health is transferred to the next match. By the end, the game will cheat, giving you waves of Gados and Shen Longs in max difficulty to make you lose. It's so BS, they got the perfect dodges, can pinpoint block every attack you make, and never whiff their beast drive, so good luck. Additionally, a mode so downgraded from the previous game, it just makes me sad. Practice mode makes a return, without damage indicator and no possible way to see which buttons you're pressing. These two, in my opinion, are the most fundamental needs of a practice mode. And lastly, story mode, but I already explained that one. Glory Roar 2 is everything you want a sequel to achieve. More success, more sales, better gameplay, more characters, improved basic mechanics, and more things to do. This, however, doesn't mean it's a flawless game. The lackluster sidestep, unfair high difficulty settings, and the drab and boring stages make it a flawed gem. Regardless of the problems, there is so much to enjoy, and without a shadow of a doubt, is an experience that everybody should at least try once. For fans, arena fighters, and retro gamers alike, Glory Roar is a bloody good game. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please smash that like button, subscribe if you enjoy PlayStation games and reviews, or if you would like to watch more of them. I'm sadly departing from arena fighters. My thumbs are gone. Please comment what game you'd like to see me review next. Until then, I sign out.